Today I'll be comparing the iPad 2 versus the iPad 4. Currently Apple is selling the iPad 2 for $399, and I think they're only offering the 16 gigabyte version, whereas they offer the iPad Air in any memory size or with a carrier like 16, 32, or 64, or with 3G, or even maybe LT. I'm not sure. How did that thing have to check? So in comparison, what's different between the two? This iPad 2 offers 720p video recording from its rear camera over here, whereas this one does 1080p recording. The video recording on this is a lot better because you can do tap to autofocus while you're video recording, whereas this doesn't, the old iPad 2. There's a lot of camera features that are available on the iPad Air that isn't on the old iPad 2. The front-facing camera itself on the iPad 2 is just VGA, whereas this one is a 1080p that also lets you record at 720. This lets you record, iPad Air lets you record at 720p video, whereas this is only VGA. So there's some other features that the cameras have that are slightly different, but the main thing is the chip that's inside. This one has an A5 dual-core chip, whereas the iPad, I meant to say that the iPad 2 has the A5 chip over here. It's a dual-core chip, whereas the iPad Air is using the A7 64-bit motion processor. Is it motion? Yeah, it's motion. So let's visually look at the two. Just holding it alone, one would notice how light it is. This almost feels like it's half the weight. So there's a noticeable difference. If you compare one to the other like this, you can see that the vertical distance isn't that different, but the horizontal distance changes. So they've cut off almost like 3/4 of an inch or half an inch from the width. And then they do these commercials where they show how like it's smaller than a pencil. So if you look at this, you can see how they changed the design of the button. Much more polished look with the iPad Air. And they used a darker gray silver with the iPad Air. Still the same iPad logo. Let me see if I can rezoom this. So the same iPad logo. And then let's look at the top. Still around the same location. Black button for the old iPad 2, whereas it uses silver. So that's pretty interesting. I think this is the mic, and this is the headphone attachments. And then if we check the bottom, speakers used to be on the far side, actually just one set, whereas now you have these two dual speakers, so that should help. And so that's visually, you can see, it's hard to tell the difference in depth. You can see my wife dropped her iPad and dinged it. So that's as much as it goes in terms of the exterior. More interesting thing is running tests with it. Actually running tests with it. So we'll see about doing that.